Okay, so now we are recording.
Okay.
So, hey.
Hello.
So can you please tell us your name?
So my name is Jasmine Edwards.
Okay. So what is it you do?
So right now, currently I am an outpatient clinical therapist. So I offer therapy services for mental health.
Nice, mental health. And you also said that you are EMRD, a DR?
Oh, EMDR. That's a type of therapy that helps with trauma. So I do practice that as well as some other clinical modalities and techniques as well. Mm-hmm.
So what got you into that field?
So my mom is a social worker. So I was around all that a lot in my life, her being a social worker, her being a counselor. She was an addictions counselor, so helping people who had issues with addiction. So that was inspiration as well. And I felt like that was my calling to do something pertaining to social work and or therapy. At first I thought I was going to be a psychiatrist, and then when I got into college I learned that I had to go to med school for that, and I said no way. So so I kind of did some soul searching to figure out, okay, if that's off the blocker, what else? And so that's the direction that I went into.
So basically, being raised by your mom, you was already skilled when you were an adult of what to do, basically. But I've always been curious. What was the difference between a therapist and a psychologist? And a social worker?
A psychologist or a psychiatrist?
Psychiatrist, I'm sorry.
A psychiatrist, they're the ones that prescribe the medication. So they could do some therapeutic stuff if they want to. But most of the time when you go see a psychiatrist, you're going for medications. Versus a therapist, we're gonna focus solely on therapy. We can't prescribe medications, and some diagnoses we cannot give out. I only know about Michigan because that's where I'm from, but I know certain diagnoses like ADHD or autism. That's something that needs to be done by somebody who is a doctor, by a psychiatrist. But we can help treat autism and the different types of ADHD. So that's kind of what the difference is.
So have you ever experienced having to treat somebody that have autism?
I've dealt with or worked with lots of people with lots of diagnoses, from major depression, anxiety, grief and loss, ADHD, autism, schizophrenia. I pretty much have worked with people who have had different ones. So yes, in short.
Well, I'll tell you this though, because I know autism right now was a trend because you see that guy that was attacking his mom and all that. Mm-hmm. So would you say it would be a lot harder to deal with somebody with a natural like mental illness compared to somebody that's been through PTSD or been through like certain sorts of trauma?
I guess to answer that, it just really depends on what your niche is, what you specialize in. Some patients do come in with more things on their plate, but I think it depends on who you are as a clinician, what resources that they have and what supports that they have, and how open they are to making positive change.
Nice. I'll tell you this. I want to take a test on whether I have autism or not.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I personally don't think I do, but it's just certain stuff to learn about who I am, basically. The same thing with ADHD, because I believe I have ADHD like a motherfucker. But I'm not sure how to diagnose it. So how do I how do I know that I have the ADHD? Because some people are saying it's a myth. Some people are saying like you can't get diagnosed. So if you know ways to figure out somebody that have ADHD or whatever, can you let me know?
I would say you have to be careful because there's so much stuff on the internet. Like you said, TikTok. I've seen different groups on Facebook as well where people are seeking support in a different type of way, because I know that therapy can be expensive for some people, especially during today's climate. I would say that if you want to be tested for anything, autism, ADHD, to get in contact with your medical insurance to see if they cover the testing and to see who is in network with your medical insurance, so you can reach out to those different specialists to schedule you an appointment to get an assessment done.
I feel that.
Yeah.
So like same thing with ADHD, like because people are saying that it's false and all that. Do you believe that ADHD exists? It's a dumb question, but
well, I believe that a lot of things exist. So whether it exists or not, because I do know it's this talk going about some people feel like, oh, it doesn't exist, or only 1% or 3% of the population truly have ADHD and what have you. The symptoms of ADHD, I feel, are real, and I've seen people who have had some of the symptoms. So, I mean, I'm not really here to really say what is real and what is not, but I really do feel like, you know, those symptoms are definitely real. So I wouldn't disprove it or what have you.
Yeah, so I personally think ADHD was like kind of commercialized to a point where people stopped believing in it. Like it was like an actual thing until everybody was saying that they have ADHD and all that. So I'm trying to learn myself to understand what I need to go through or what I need to do, because I've always thought that we don't need therapy until something happened and it triggered me to a point where I wanted to like shut myself down peacefully. So that's why I want to learn new things about the bipolar situation. I want to know about ADHD. I want to know about autism and all that, because a lot of people are going through a bunch of illnesses and we're ignoring it because people are saying that we don't need it. We don't need that therapy anymore.
I definitely know, like pertaining, especially in the Black community, like mental health is just, you know, we're just kind of really getting into it. Like our generation is really getting into it. When I think about like the baby boomers and older, they're like, oh no, you need to just shut up and go to work and go on about your business. Now, not all, but a large amount. I really do think that mental health is real. I think mental health is just as important as physical health, just as important as getting your diabetes taken care of, your high blood pressure taken care of. Because if not treated, mental health can take you out the game if you don't treat it. So I really do think it's real. I know there are lots of trends. Everybody's saying, oh, I have ADHD, blah, 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 and what have you. But what I wonder is if we knew what we know now back then when we was growing up, would the numbers be higher? As in, there's so many people that have slipped through the cracks. I'm thinking about some of my family members when we were growing up. You know, you just told, so-and-so bad. They don't know how to sit down. Or so-and-so, all they do is daydream, when really there was something going on. But back then we didn't really know. And so you have a large amount of people, especially in our generation. Well, I really don't know how old you are, but I'm a millennial.
Yeah, I'm that old. I don't know what a millennial is. I'm like, all right, well, I'm plus 30. I'm plus 30. I'm over 30 years old.
I am too.
Yeah, all right, so boom, we're millennials then.
So a lot of our people are getting diagnosed with things way later in life, like autism, ADHD. And keep in mind, there are 3 types of ADHD now. So ADHD, we're getting diagnosed with things later on in life, depression, anxiety, bipolar, because back then we didn't know nothing about that. Right. We didn't know anything about that. We just was told that we were bad and we needed to focus harder and work harder.
Right. But wouldn't that make a child abusive when they get older? Because I know like certain family members that I had, they were just active. They were just playing around or whatever, but they got beat because they were active. What if they did have ADHD to a point where like now their symptoms or whatever is getting like causing detriment to the family to a point where they're like just getting punished instead of getting diagnosed. So like I heard, like I've realized like a lot of these illnesses don't get treated to a point where like a lot of these black boys and black girls become criminals and abusive to society. So how do we change that aspect of it?
I think when it comes to decision making, how people behave, there's a lot of different factors. So, and I also believe that mental health is not one shoe fits all, because you can have 2 people raised in the same household, experience the same exact things, and may have the same diagnosis, because much of it is hereditary, is genetic, and they could turn out totally different. They could make totally different choices. So I feel like it depends on, for some people, when they find out, oh, this is what I have, it's like a weight lifted off their shoulder, you know? And then some people do get angry, like, oh, I'm about to tell my mama, you know, all them times that she with me, I really had this going on, you know?
Right.
So I think decision making boils down to, yes, how people think, their environment, and what's going on. It's like so many different factors on why a person decides to commit a crime versus someone who has the same diagnosis and they don't. So I think there's a lot of other factors that play into that.
Right, because I'll tell you this, my mother, I love my mother to death, but she was a savage. Like she set my brother on fire one time. Like I'll just say that. Oh. She did a bunch of other crazy stuff. She set my father's clothes on fire. She did a bunch. She beat me to a point where like she said she wouldn't stop until she see blood, basically. So she did a bunch of crazy stuff or whatever. But after she got sick, like the 3rd day before she passed away, she said her father used to sexually violate her.
Okay.
Countlessly. To a point where I was wondering if she didn't get violated like that, would she have the mental illness to a point where she would act on it? Would it be a natural cause of her acting this way, or would it be just based off of her history?
I see what you're saying. So it's something that clinically we call it generational trauma, but you know, in the streets we just say curses. So generational trauma is stuff that's passed down. So that's kind of like what you're talking about. Mom had these things happen to her. So mom probably didn't have any resources, any supports. So she's carrying on this garbage, and on top of, if there is mental health, you got all this stuff going on. So with her, she's carrying all this, and before you all come along, before she gets in a relationship with your dad, she's still carrying this. So, and then it's thrown upon you. So now you got this stuff going on that's happening to you that you didn't ask for. So there comes a time in someone's life where I feel like they have to choose. And it's easier said than done. I'm not saying it's something that's like, oh, I'm going to wear the red shoes or the black shoes type of thing. But you have to really have a situation where, am I going to carry on this trauma, or am I going to heal it and stop it so that I can say no more for me? And if I decide to have children, or even if you have nieces and nephews, no more for the next generation. We're done with this.
Right.
So I do feel like the generational trauma is definitely something that is definitely passed down. And that's what it sounds like happened in your situation.
So is there any way, if you've dealt with certain stuff within 30 years, is it damn near impossible to get rid of?
I feel like that depends. And the thing with mental health is that there's no left or right. It's always grays and blues and different colors. Mm-hmm. Because, like I said before, mental health and healing is not one shoe fits all. So it depends on the individual. It depends on the individual, their supports, and how real they are with healing. Is it possible for someone to be 100%? Then that is, what is 100% to you? Is 100% a slate with nothing on it? I don't think that's possible for anybody, because we all experience stuff. But it's more so, is it possible for that person to get to the best version of themselves that's realistic? I do feel like a person can with work. It's just like, if you think of someone, is it possible for, like, if someone has diabetes, for them to live a healthy life with it? Yes, they put in the work, they get the resources that they need to. Yes, will they ever be like a person who never had diabetes? Probably not. But they will be way better than what they are before they put in the work for it. So I think mental health is the same way.
I definitely feel that. Because I believe certain people have signs of autism based off of their trauma. So I'm not sure exactly where to start when it comes to dealing with somebody that actually have autism and somebody that actually have PTSD that have the same symptoms and all that. So what do you think will be the main sign of somebody that have trauma?
The main sign for someone who has trauma?
Yeah, sexual trauma or
well, I know as a social worker, mm-hmm. when we're in therapists, even though really both, when someone hints to me like a child is doing something abnormal, like play. When you look at little kids, everything that they have seen or witnessed comes out in play. And I'm laughing because I'm thinking about when I was a Head Start teacher and seeing some of the little kids play house, and the little boys were the daddies, and they was acting like they was rolling up a little something, you know. That's because little kids are sponges.
I rock with it. I rock with that.
They didn't know exactly what they was doing. They said this is what daddies do, because that's what they experienced. So through play, when you see something that's like really abnormal through play, you can see it if they're doing something with dolls, if they do something with themselves or other kids, because sometimes other kids can mess with other kids too. If they're not verbal with it. So those can be some signs early on. As well as adults, it could be maybe you don't like people like touching you, or nightmares, flashbacks. Those are things, some signs and some symptoms as well. Having emotional distress over something that has happened. I know some people come to me and they may say they don't remember anything of their childhood. That's probably because something, if physical things are ruled out, that they don't have any memory issues. If physical things are ruled out, it probably because something traumatic happened to them. And that's one of the symptoms of your body trying to protect you, is blocking out, that disassociation, blocking out whatever that was traumatizing to you. Are just a few things. But you definitely need an in-depth assessment to come to that conclusion.
I feel that definitely, because I know because my cousins and my friends, they used to talk about like guns and all that. I'm gonna shoot you and all that type of stuff. But at the same time, I used to just sit in the corner and play with my crayons, like just not even color, just like play fight with them. I didn't want to deal with anybody basically. But like that had to be a sign of me going through molestation, because I've been through molestation, I've been through certain traumas too and all that. So wouldn't you say that me sitting in the corner not wanting to be around my friends like is a big sign of like you have to see what this guy, like what this kid is going through? Because I got called slow and special and retarded simply because I wanted to sit in the corner and not play with my friends that been acting like they were shooting guns and all that.
I've heard that a lot too, from people who are teachers, from other folks, and even some people who I worked with. They would say that, oh, I was held back a grade because I wasn't talking with my peers, and they thought that I was slow, but really it was because I lived in a household where my mama was getting beat and there was a bunch of alcoholics, and if I was loud and spoke, that meant that I would get that negative attention, and I didn't want to get beat, so I learned to be quiet in order to survive that environment. So that's why I don't talk in school, you know? So me as first, because my first degree was in teaching, me as an educator, having the education background, and also just as a social worker, a therapist, things like that, I would want to investigate. Because sometimes it could be, I just don't like these kids. I don't want to play with them. They over there crazy. I don't want to, I'd rather, or it could be you the only child and you just like, this is my stuff, I don't want to share with them. Or it could be that.
But you know what was crazy though? I used to fight all the time in school too. Like I was like, no, my nickname was Taz back in school, whatever. I used to fight every day, but when they used to just go outside and play, I didn't want to be near them at all. And it might be because I didn't like them, but it's also because I wanted to learn something new. I wanted to draw. I wanted to do certain stuff. And the people that I was outside that wanted me to play, they wanted to fight and play basketball. They wanted to do, let's say, ghetto shit. So basically, like, what if it's me just wanting to be who I was because I didn't agree with what they were doing and all that?
It could be. That's why I said a good assessment needs to be done. It could be those different things, or it could be maybe something is going on that's beyond, like, these are my interests, this is what I like to do, and that's what they like to do, and I don't want no parts in that, so I'm gonna be over here. Or maybe it could be I'm self-isolating because I feel safe this way because I was taught in my traumatic or chaotic household, in order to stay safe, I need to keep to myself and be quiet. So you don't know until you ask those questions, till you dive in and get some more assessment, some more knowledge to see what really is going on. I personally, I remember back in the day, I was in this program and I used to wear all black, and I was very selective. I was not your stereotypical black kid. Like, I like rock music. They call it new metal now. So Linkin Park, System of a Down, Incubus, stuff like that. That's the type of music that I liked. So Korn, Limp Bizkit. So anyway,
there you go. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was waiting for you to say that.
So that's the stuff that I listen to. So I was in this program, and all A student, very hard worker, because my mama didn't play no games. So I'm in this program, which I probably shouldn't have been in. I should have been in the program with the honorary students. But anyways, this teacher picked on me and was assuming that I was depressed because I wasn't doing what the other girls were doing. The other girls in the classroom, was all together dancing and doing this and that. I knew my mama didn't play no games. She would whoop my butt. I didn't have time to be doing that. I was interested in learning, and this specific teacher taught a subject that I love, which was history and culture. So I'm like, I'm like a sponge. Give me knowledge. And she was like,
Hold on. The same teacher that was teaching was saying that you need to go out and not listen to her and dance?
Something was wrong with that lady. After my mama stepped in and said, like how that one famous therapist says, not on my watch. Gotcha. When my mama stepped in and said, not my baby, we found out something was wrong with her. And so she was thinking, oh, because I listen to this type of music, I dress this type of way, I like these type of things, I must be depressed. No, that's just what I like. That's just what I like. And I have a mama who believe in education who don't play no games, versus those girls, they like that stuff and they grew up in a different household. So
right. So would you consider, like, I'm not sure what emo people are, but would you like put yourself in that category?
Emo? Well, once again, when I was coming up, wasn't no such thing as emo.
I know, I feel it.
It was like either you was gothic or not.
Gotcha. But aren't they the same thing though? They're the same thing,
no,
isn't it? Like
total different subcultures. Now, the sub has some similarities. Yeah, some slight similarities, but they're total different subcultures. But now you have people who you have different names now. So now you have gothic. Then within gothic, you have different types of gothic. And then you have new metal. So the people like me who likes Korn, Limp Bizkit, System of a Down, Disturbed, all that stuff. That was considered new metal now. And then you have emo, and then you have scene kids. You got all these different things. And way before all that was grunge, so which is another genre. Grunge.
Yeah.
So grunge would be like more listening to like Nirvana would be like grunge, or Pearl Jam.
Yeah, I gotta learn all this stuff. I definitely gotta learn it. But like I've always because I barely had gothic people in my school. Basically, I went to Eastside High in New Jersey. Basically, I don't know if you saw the movie Lean on Me. Basically, but like I went to the school where Morgan Freeman was playing Joe Clark and all that. So basically, we barely seen any gothic or emo people. When we did, we automatically thought that this person was a serial killer, suicidal, or depressed. So do you think that's going on like just in Black culture, when somebody is totally different from who we are, we're just gonna automatically think they have a mental illness?
I don't just laugh. I'm having flashbacks. Okay, so
you can tell me about the flashbacks too. I mean, I'm rock with it.
Well, what I would say is, what was this book that I read? I always get the title wrong. I'm gonna say it, but it's probably the wrong title. It was Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting at One Table? That's probably not what the title is, but pretty much
that's a long
some of those
title.
Words are in the title. So basically, when I was in college, I had a political science class. I loved it. A few of them I had. And what was the paper I was writing about? It could have been about affirmative action or something like that. I can't remember what my thesis was. It was ages ago. But I always wondered why, as Black people, why we function the way that we function. Why is it that I'm called Oreo because I like these things? Or why am I dissed by my own people because, oh, she talks like a white girl. Oh, she acts like one because I like to nerd out and watch anime and listen to rock music and read and write and do all these things. So I never understood why until I started to dig into our history. So I guess in shorts, because I could go on and on about it. We get to a point in our lives, and usually it's around like middle schoolish, kind of lower elementary-ish, where anything that we stereotypically equate to Caucasian or equate to whiteness, we reject. So you sitting over there and you like to read books, you sitting over there, you like to watch anime, we going to say, oh, that's acting white. So you over there acting white, we gonna reject you. So it's the same thing with, oh, so-and-so going to see her therapist, so-and-so doing mental health, blah, blah, blah. That's what white folks do. We don't do that. Right. What is wrong with you? So that was a eye-opening book, but that goes back to all the stuff that was the mentality and stuff that was instilled in us, or our ancestors or whatever who experienced slavery. So that kind of plays a role in it too, as in rejecting anything that doesn't seem quote unquote stereotypically Black. So I remember when I was part of a campaign or a group, I ain't gonna say because they might see this video, where we supposed to advocate for people like us. So people, when I say us, I'm going to use the word people of color, because in the group there were Black people, Mexican people, there were different people of color. And we got to sit down with these big people, and they were asking us, what can we do to bring more minorities into this facility, right? Great thing, like, oh my gosh, we get to give our ideas and da 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 da. Why in the middle of sharing, it was me and another girl, I'm not gonna say her name, but my colleagues looked at us and said, oh, they're not Black. They're not Black for real. It don't matter what they say. Well, I was like,
that's what.
Let's go ask the KKK. I'm pretty sure. So they're like, oh no, they grew up middle class in a 2-parent home. They get good grades. They don't know. And I was like, y'all, this is our time to stand together and kind of, y'all want to, let's do that after the meeting. I said,
I'm listening to you. I'm sorry.
And I said, and this is why they say, oh, we gave them a chance. They asked for it. They was fighting amongst themselves.
But this is the problem that I have with Black people. If we're so minute when it comes to our thinking, to a point where if we think anywhere outside of hip hop and sex and automatically called another race. I don't understand that base. So but here's the thing when it comes to women though. If you go to any Black man, like a lot of Black men watch anime. We watch Naruto and One Punch Man and all that. Do you think it's only Black women that stereotype? You watch an anime and you listening to rock and all that, because we're more open to listening and watching more stuff.
You know what? I really don't know. Because me personally, I was watching anime before I knew what anime was, like 5-6 years old, because my older male cousins watch Gundam and all that stuff. They watched anime, and I used to like to follow them around. So I got into it before I even knew what it was. So I was always into that different stuff. Now they listen to definitely the hip hop. They was listening to Tupac, LL Cool J, Snoop Dogg, all of them.
Millennials. The millennials.
I don't know if my cousins are considered millennials. Maybe, I don't know. Okay. I don't think. I think they're the generation before us. My older cousins. So, I really don't know. Like I said, my family, we kind of, yes, we're crazy, but I was exposed to so much, like gospel music, 90s R&B, 70s, like Earth, Wind and Fire, Anita Baker, all that stuff, blues music from my grandma. And then I got, rap music, gangster rap music from my uncles and my older cousins. My mom, maybe the little different came from my mom, because my mom used to listen to certain groups that was not quote unquote considered Black. I can't think of any artist names, but I do remember she was playing something on the radio, and I was like, Mama, She said, "Where you think you got that from?" So I know all that stuff. Like, and my god sister, she used to love Drew Hill and what was that other Black Street and all that stuff, Edge or whatever they call it. She used to listen to all that stuff too. So I was exposed to so many different things growing up. But I don't know if it was when I had issues or had confrontation, though. I will say it was never with the males. It was never with the black males. It was always with the females.
Right.
So
I definitely agree. I don't
know. Maybe when you look at it, I do remember a conversation like that happened before, and it was pertaining to dating outside of race. And I think it is a lot of weight put on black females, and I may get canceled for saying this, but put on black females to continue the black culture itself. You know what I mean?
Continue the black culture.
To continue to keep it alive. So it's more so like anything that's not considered black, we have to reject. Like, I remember some black women were saying, like, even like dating outside of their race, they felt like it was wrong and they were waiting for a black man because they have to keep the culture going. They have to keep it going. So I wonder if that has anything to do with why, if it was anything different, why it was considered negative or approached negatively. I don't know. That's just me just ranting, but I have no idea.
Well, I personally think, I tell you this, if it wasn't for my father, like broadening my logic, I pretty much would have been closed-minded too. Because my mother didn't like anything that she didn't agree with. She would just like lash out on me. So I personally think, like, when it comes to single motherhood, they only think one way or whatever. Like, they will only think like an emotional standpoint, to a point where anything outside of that, they're gonna tell you don't do or whatever. But like, as a father, the father's gonna say you need to learn from this, you need to learn from that. So if you do act on it, you have to get a lesson out of it, basically. So what if it is the single motherhood that's actually making black women tell you, hey, look, we don't do this. You're white because of it. Because our mothers are saying, hey, look, you're not a part of us because you're doing this, basically. Mm-hmm. So I personally think that might be a situation too. That's something that I need to look into, actually.
Mm-hmm. And it could be also, when you think about it, could be just for protection reasons. If you think about, once again, I'm going back to slavery. If you went outside of the box, that meant death for you. So outside of the box, probably the idea of what outside of the box probably changed over generations, but pretty much the foundation keep the same. If you're too outspoken, if you back during slavery, if you was reading, if you was educating yourself, if you talked too much, you looked up too much, you were too strong, then that would mean that you would not survive. You would be taken out. So I wonder if, because as we know, as it's been documented, in front of the pregnant slave, they would take the strongest one because it's considered a threat, and they would end them, whether it was ending them physically or demasculating them. So I want to preserve my son, and back then, you only grow through, the male, whatever that is. I want to preserve us, so I'm going to tell my son, anything that's outside of this box, you don't do, because that means that you're going to get hurt. So once again, it goes back to generational trauma. And sometimes some things that we learn in trauma to help preserve us, once we're outside of that trauma, those same survival tactics are no longer needed, and that can actually hold us back.
Right.
Too. So I don't know.
I rock with what you're saying. 100%, I rock with what you're saying though. Like, now I'm trying to figure out what would be a mental illness because like some stuff is just taught how to act like the way we are basically. So, I can see somebody that have Down syndrome. I can see when somebody like do have like a stage 3 autism. But what about the people that you don't see it, but it's in them basically? Is it because they were taught how to like act slow, or is it because they like it's something naturally in them based off of the food, or based off of like childbirth, or based off of like the lighting in the in the environment basically? Because I know certain stuff that's going on or whatever like in the environment will cause your brain to like slow down or burn out basically. So yeah, I'm trying to figure stuff out, man. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I say going to a specialist, getting an assessment helps, because they can look at all those things. Oh, were you exposed to, because I'm from Flint, Michigan. So were you exposed to the lead in the water? Some people want to say that is why these younger generations are having more behavior issues. Or is it because of the environment, as in the structure in the home? Or is it something that's actually embedded into your DNA? Or is it all of it, all the above? So, or is it something that you're going through an adjustment period or phase of life and it's causing these things to happen? So that's why you need an assessment so you can pinpoint to what it is that's causing whatever that's bothering you.
So I don't want to keep you, but like I am enjoying the conversation and all that. But a few more questions.
Okay.
Promise. But who are you interested in working with the most? Children, because you started off as a teacher, or would it be like Black adults, or would it be just special needed people like autism and certain stuff like that?
I go through waves. I had a long time of working with kids, adolescents, and then I got a little taste of working with adults. And I was like, maybe I want to work with just adults. Then I started working with adults, and I was like, I would see the little kids come in for the other therapists. I'm like, oh my gosh, I kind of miss the kids a little bit. So I think right now, my age group that I'm working is like a blend of both. Like I accept as young as 8 and plus. So right now, I do have some younger kids on my caseload. The majority of them are adults. But honestly, I like being greedy. I like working with a blend of both.
Okay. So do you have any advice for me as a Black man that's struggling in Black society? I'm not a shooter, I'm not a killer, I'm not a rapper. I'm just a person that's out here trying to teach the people, and they don't look at me as Black because I'm light skinned. They don't look at me as Black because I know how to read and all that. Because somebody legit told me. I talked about this psychology book. I don't know if you know some guy, whatever. He wrote this book called Blink, The Art of Dense Slicing or something like that. I forgot his name though. But I told him that I was reading that book. He was like, "You read?" I'm like, "Yeah, I read. What you?" Like I learned how to read in elementary school. I mean, what you want me to do? So before we go, can you give me some sort of advice that's gonna help me be Black again? Learn how to be Black again.
Be Black again. I think regardless, you are Black. What it say on that birth certificate? You are what that birth certificate. No. So I would say to continue to educate yourself. Don't let anyone steer you off your path. I would say if you're seeking for mental health, make sure that, like I said, you check with your medical insurance. You find you a therapist that you click with. If you are with someone who does not click with you, like I tell my clients all the time, if you want to fire me, go ahead. If you feel like I'm not the therapist for you, go ahead. Because being with someone who is not on the same page as you, who you do not click with, is, I personally feel like, is more harm than not having one. That's just me. So I will say find someone that you click with, and if you do not click with them, exit left and don't let 1, 2, 3 therapists that will deter you from finding that person. Because sometimes people get overwhelmed, they get discouraged because they're like, oh my goodness, I can't find anybody. That person is for you. Maybe you need to look at what exactly you're looking for in a therapist as well. So I would say don't let that discourage you. And just be you. Just unapologetically be you. If you like reading, if you like anime, if you like whatever music, that's you. Once you learn to accept you for who you are and the things that you like, as long as they healthy and they not hurting nobody and they ain't hurting you, then that's just you. That's what I had to learn. I had to learn to accept my different self. I like to call myself an anomaly. Like, I know that I'm vibing up here, as the majority of people, their vibrational levels not up here, so they may not understand me. You may not get me, and that's okay. You will find your group of people, your tribe that you belong to.
Facts. That's amazing. Actually, now, matter of fact, I'm gonna start looking for like different type of therapists, because I'm gonna be honest. Okay, so I steal a lot, like from Walmart, Target, and all that. So I'm trying to get rid of that situation. I'm trying to not, because it's like an impulsive thing. I want to see if I can get away with it. So that's one thing I do need to work on. But outside of that, I eat healthy, I work out, whatever. I teach people and all that. But whenever I go to Walmart, I have to put something in my pocket. And I hope this is not, I'm going to cut this part off, actually. Because
yeah, I don't want that.
Yeah, I don't want to.
There is a diagnosis for that. Yes. Actually. So I would just say, yeah, cut that part off. You don't want nobody knowing your business. So I would say find someone who specializes in that. And since this is gonna be off the record, I would say really pray about it to whoever you pray to, whether it's God, whether it's Allah, whether it's the universe, whether you like to connect with your ancestors. Have them guide you to who you need to go to. Because sometimes as Black people, we say, "Oh, I gotta have me a Black therapist," and you find one and they ain't right. Sometimes, I mean, you just gotta weigh things out. I would say sit down, think about, okay, these are the things that I want in my therapist. You can go on psychology.com and see. We have profiles and stuff, and we can say this and that. Really meditate and pray on it. Feel the vibes out. Figure out whether you want to do in person, so that's in the office, or you want to do telehealth, which is this video. You can probably do a blend of both. I have some people who come to me in person first, and then once we get comfortable and stuff, we switch to telehealth, or we do on and off. So you want to find that out. You want to find out what they specialize in, how long they've been in the game. Like, is this your first year? Okay, I'm not going to discriminate against newbies. I was a newbie once, but what is your training on then? You know,
right?
Have you just been in Breckenridge, which is somewhere near Elma in the cornfields, or like what is your exposure? You know, what have you worked on? And so you'll find that out, because I know for me, I was not everybody's flavor. I know that I'm not everybody's flavor. If you're not ready to work on stuff, you ain't gonna like me. She's mean.
So would you consider yourself being mean though?
No, I don't.
No?
I think I am very nice, very patient, very understanding. A lot of feedback that I gotten from my clients that's what I would say is repetitive is that I'm down to earth. They don't feel judged. They don't feel like I'm going I know everything and you better do what I say. I pretty much mold what I do to their needs and their style. So I always tell them I'm person-centered planning. That's what I use before anything else. So that means that everything is around you. It's about what you want to do. It's not about what I want you to do. Because I can be like, oh, I see you need to work on trauma. I see it. But I'm not going to be like, we gonna do this today. We gonna do this right now. I'm not. No, if they're like, oh, I want to work on my anxiety and stress, that's what we're gonna work on, because some of that is linked, and they'll get comfortable with you, and then later on, you probably end up working on trauma or what have you. So, and then you have some people who want to be coddled, who want you to hold their hand and pat their backs and stuff. Not challenge them. There are some therapists, that's what they do. That ain't me.
But isn't that help? Because I tell people this, like, if you've been lying to yourself for years, how is that going to help that therapist if you're telling that therapist a lie? Especially if he's trying to collar you. You
are truthful. And that's why I tell people, I cannot help you with what you don't tell me. Now, sometimes I know when people are lying because I have that gift of discernment. I know when people are lying to me, but I wait. I wait until we have that bond, that relationship, and I can say, I see something.
Huh?
I can say to them, hey, I see something. Sometimes I never forget I had somebody come in, everything good, blah, 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 blah. I knew everything was good. And finally, once we formed that bond, I was like, you sure? And then they said what they needed to say.
Right. But you know what I noticed? The more you let somebody talk, the more you can see that lie in that person, basically. Because they're basically their lie is not gonna go together, connect with their body and all that. So next thing you know, your body's gonna start crouching and they're gonna start looking sideways and all that. So you can tell the more they explain certain stuff, the more they're gonna contradict themselves with their body and all that. So I love the fact, I love the job that you do. I want to learn more about it. And mind you, I need therapy when it comes to my narcissism and my God complex and my stealing. And I'm gonna bleep the stealing part out. But I do believe I have a sign of even though the thing is, I don't really act on my narcissism. I just feel it. I just feel jealousy coming around. I feel like when I need to be accepted and all that. So I'm not sure if I really need therapy for my actions, but I do need therapy for my thoughts. So,
yeah, definitely. And narcissism, I feel for some people, depending on their situation, it can be a coping mechanism based upon some type of trauma that they experience. Maybe you experienced trauma where you were not in control, or you were beat on, where you were taken advantage of, where you were belittled. So in order to survive, in order to deal with that and not deal with that, I'm going to create this character, this God complex that's invincible, that's better than everybody else, because I was in this situation where I was nothing.
Thanks. Because I would tell you this. This is my last thing, because I also want to ask you about the anime shit. But but I would tell you this. Me going through molestation and me going through sort of sexual abuse and all that, and then growing up to realize that I knew how to fight, to grow up to realize that I knew women wanted to be around me and all that. That made me feel powerful to a point where I couldn't learn what I was going through because I was getting blocked with a whole bunch of praise at the same time. So a lot of times when people do go through certain traumas, we need to address that trauma before we get any type of lies that come about us, basically. Because nobody addressed what I was going through until I had to act on certain stuff. Mind you, I didn't touch anybody in sexual ways, but I was fighting all the time. Just fighting all the time till I realized I could barely read when I was 17. I could barely function when I was 17, basically.
And sometimes what happens is, because of generational trauma, those things, because it's in the family, that's what's normal to the family. Fighting, doing this, having a bunch of kids, even for some people touching on each other. That's normal. So when you do the opposite, that's when we're going to be like, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? Even though the opposite that you're doing is healthy or safe or secure, is still, so that's probably, that could be why when, like you said, no one reached out, that those type of behaviors probably was normal to your family. Like, we all do that. We all fight. We all do this. So you just behave in the way that we all behave, you know?
Right. I love it. But tell me your top favorite animes before we go. Top 3.
Inuyasha. I have Sesshomaru on right now. Sesshomaru.
Nice.
I have an Inuyasha tattoo. You can't see it though, but I have an Inuyasha tattoo. Those are my anime husbands. Inuyasha.
The two lines? The two lines?
Yeah.
They look dope, actually. I wanted to say that in the beginning, but I didn't want to cut you off.
Oh.
They look dope.
Yep, Inuyasha is my top favorite anime. I would say another one would be Dragon Ball Z, like all the series, all of them. I will say the older ones to me, not Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball Z, I feel like the older ones are a little bit, I like them a little bit more than the newer ones.
The Freezers, the Cells, and
like what's it called? Dragon Ball Z something. I don't know what I can't think of the top of my head. But yes, I was, before I discovered Inuyasha, I was very, very big in Dragon Ball. Like, I had Dragon Ball Z, everything. And then I would say third, it was on Netflix. I can't even think of the name, and I'm going to say this is my third one. I can't even think of the name of it, so I'll skip over that one.
I'm rock with it.
You know, I really don't know what my third. I can't really think about it. I'm just obsessed with those two. Like, when I find something that I like, I kind of like don't stare away from it. Right. But I used to like Demon Slayer until it got popular. That
show was funny. That show was hilarious.
Yeah, I love it. I watched it when it first came out, so that could have been around like 2012. Like, it was early on, and then it kind of went to sleep, and then it came back out, and then all these like people loved it. Maybe it's the fan base, because I was like, I've seen all this before. So, but I do like Demon Slayer as well too.
Well, I'll tell you this. Shout out to Dragon Ball Z. Shout out to Pokemon. I don't know if you consider Pokemon as an anime, but I rock with Pokemon, yo. And shout out to Demon Slayer. Those are only 3 that I watch.
Yeah. I remember Pokemon coming on right before school, right before we used to get ready to get on that bus. Pokemon came on, and I used to like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh and Digimon. I think because they all came around on the same time on TV. But I like Yu-Gi-Oh because I love Egyptian mythology and ancient Egyptian culture. So I think that's why, even though I knew like that one time. But yeah, I used to like watching that on TV too. But I really wouldn't consider Yu-Gi-Oh and Digimon to be like anime. When I think anime, I think more like Inuyasha, the Gundams, stuff like that. I know Sailor Moon's supposed to be like a popular one amongst females, but I mean, I watch Sailor Moon, but I like to buy their merch because it's cute, but I would not go to war for Sailor Moon.
I feel that. See, I prefer Powerpuff Girls. I think Sailor Moon is just
yes,
like
I love Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, I think Sailor Moon is just a anime version of the Powerpuff Girls. And since I watched the Powerpuff Girls first, I pretty much was like, yo, I don't need Sailor Moon. Even though Sailor Moon came out first and all that, I just don't want it. Same thing with Digimon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Like since Pokemon came out, those were the bootleg versions of Pokemon. So I was like, you know what? I ain't even gonna watch it. I'm gonna stick to Pokemon, I'm gonna stick to Powerpuff Girls, and I'm gonna stick to Dragon Ball Z. That's all I know, and that's all I'm focused on. That's exactly what you do too. Whatever you like, that's what I'm gonna focus on.
Yeah, that's exact. That's exact. I try to get into like the different new ones that that the younger generation talk about, but just like I have a short attention span, and if you don't have series after series, I'll fall off. Like you telling me I gotta wait a whole year for 5 new episodes that's only like 30 minutes
altogether. Well, they gotta draw it and all that. They gotta take care of all that stuff basically. So
I'm gonna wait till everything is done and then come back way later and then watch it all. I'm not, no, because I'm gonna totally forget.
I rock with it though. We need to have a part 2 though. We should have a part 2 one day because you're pretty cool to talk to. So I mean, I rock with it. Well, yeah, I'm definitely, man, most definitely. But I want to shout your business out, whatever. So if you can send me all the stuff that you got, I'm gonna put it like on my YouTube page and this magazine that I'm working on and all this other type of stuff. But I do appreciate your time, 100%.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I definitely appreciate the conversation and you actually considering. Because I know that I'm crazy and can go on a rant about a lot of things. I call it nerding out.
No, I mean, nerd out. All right.
So.
No, I rock with it though. So, I mean, I'm going to hit you up after this and all that and let you know the details and everything. So, all right.
Okay.
So, appreciate you.
All right. You take care.